This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com. All right, hello everybody. Game Boy Geek here. We are at the West Texas Tabletop Convention, which is in San Angelo, Texas. It was about I flew into San Antonio. It was about a 3-hour drive here, and we've been here for 2 days now. I've been here. There's been tons of guests coming in playing games. We've had some other media people here. Sam and Z from the Dice Tower are here. I've been hanging out a lot with them. We've been playing a lot of games, hanging out with people, teaching games. We're going to be doing a panel later tonight. I think the Dice Tower is going to be possibly capturing that on video. That'll be put up probably next week by them. And then I'm just here to do some live question and answers. I found a quiet room here because out in the convention hall there, it's just table set up. It's big, it's loud, it's noisy. You probably wouldn't be able to hear me very well. So I found a little quiet room here. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and drop them in the comments of this video right now as you're watching this, and I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, what I'll do is I'll just tell you what's been going on at the convention. Well, I've been taking a lot of video going around. I'm going to be trying to put together a video for you guys for next week just to give you a feel for what this convention is. It's a small little convention, maybe a few hundred people have come so far. Today is going to be the busier of the 2 days, and tonight I heard is going to be the busiest part. So I haven't even seen the busiest spot, but we've already seen a few hundred people here, which is pretty good for this smaller convention. It's run by sort of the Tom Green County system. It's a sort of a government-run or backed event, which basically is the people that run the library and systems and things like that. You have someone there, Wander Green, who's really into games and who likes to do interesting programming. So this is sort of funded by their government, which is really cool because they get to put this on. They get to get a library of games to give people out, and we get to have a good place to game. They've got booths set up. There's a few stores selling games. There's people selling artwork, people selling sci-fi and geek culture books, people doing body painting and face painting. There's people with cosplay. There's going to be a cosplay parade later today. So it's been a cool little interesting small convention, very intimate, very fun so far. I got to play a few games here. Let me tell you about the ones that I've played so far. So Sam and Z and I got to play. Z brought this along. It's a trick-taking game with a jazz theme, which, man, lately I've been really liking trick-taking games, and this was one with a jazz theme, which is very interesting and unique. I love the unique theme of this for sure. Sort of how the way it works is there's each round or each sort of hand of cards that you play. There's a specific chord that is sort of not trump, but it's essentially the one that is the strongest. And so in this round, the A would be the strongest card, B would be second strongest, C all the way down to G. And people are playing cards of a certain suit, and each of these suits have different sort of, one's bluesy, one's earthy, one's jazzy, stuff like that. They're just suits, and people are playing cards and trying to take the trick. The one who has the closest one to this will take the trick. But you could play a letter that's the same as another letter, and that will allow you to change what the strongest letter is for the suits for the rest of the hands, and so that's constantly changing. Interesting little game. I played it a few times. It was I loved the concept of that. I loved the idea. It was really cool. It had some interesting scoring mechanisms where you really just want to get 3 tricks more, and you start to diminishing returns, and less than 3 you get less. So that was an interesting one there. Another one we played was Lords of Zidit. This is a game that came out, 2014 from Gen Con. This is sort of a programming game, and so in this game you're programming 5 or 6 actions at once, and what you're trying to do is gather different people. In this case, you're gathering different guys from buildings, and you're going to specific areas where they're monsters, and you're trying to defeat them to get goods. Now, the trick of the game is there's 3 different types of ways to score in the game. You'll see some towers right here. You can build towers, you can take coins, or right here you might see some tokens. There's some bard tokens. You're singing praises throughout the land of where you were. And the cool thing is at the beginning of the game, you're not really sure what order those are going to happen in, meaning the scoring, because at the end of the game, essentially, those 3 different scoring things, the one who's the least or in last place of each of those will get knocked out. And so here's a cool picture of some of the little minis that you get. They're different people that you use to do it. But in the scoring, in a sense, yeah, you might get knocked out. So in our game, gold was first, and then towers, and then the bards. So if you were the first, and we play with 5 players, so if you were the last or the second to last person to have as much gold, you're knocked out of the game. The rest of the 3 people went on to the next round, which was essentially the towers. Whoever had the least amount of towers was knocked out. Then it came down to the last 2 people, and whoever had the most points from putting their things in the barge won. So it's a really cool aspect of scoring. It did take us about an hour and 45 minutes, which is a little long. There was a short version of the game, which last time I thought I remembered saying that hey, next time I play this game, we're going to play the shorter version. But this time I didn't really remember that. And so, well, it didn't really happen. So we played the longer game, and we kind of wish that we had played the shorter game because an hour 30, an hour 45 was a little long for that game. The other one probably would have been more like an hour to an hour and 15. That probably would have been right. So if you have any other questions as well right now live, just go ahead and put them in the comments of the video, and we'll take those as well. So Lord just said it was fun. 2014 it came out. Asmodee put it out. Really fun programming game. I liked it a lot. Everybody at the table loved it except Sam. Sam did not like it. Poor guy. He kept messing up his programming, and it was really I think he wanted to flip the table. He didn't, but I think he kind of wanted to. Let's see. The next one that we played. Let's see. I taught some games yesterday to some families. So I taught Lanterns. So Lanterns is a really popular game that came out last year, so 2015. In this game, you're laying tiles down, and in these tiles, you're laying them down, and you don't have to match colors, but you kind of want to match colors because if you do, you get extra cards. And so you're gaining these different cards that are in the game. And when you get these different cards, you're able to use those to try to turn them in for points. So you're placing these, and the cool thing is in this game, everybody is getting a card each turn. So when you place a tile, you'll notice there's 4 different sides of the tile. Whatever side of the table you're sitting on, that's what color you'll get. So you might get green here if you're sitting on this side, purple, blue, and purple. And people are getting cards even when it's not your turn. And so here's sort of what the cards look like that. And then towards the end, at the beginning of your turn, you're trying to turn in those cards for points. So you'll see, I'll bring up a picture here of here. So at this point in time, like here's 4 of a kind. So if you have 4 reds, let's just say, you could turn those in for points. Maybe you'll have 3 pair, and you'll be able to turn those in for points. Or maybe you have like 1 of each of the 7, and you could turn those in for points. But the cool thing is each of these stacks, there's only 1 stack for each type, and the points start high and they go lower. So you're trying to get to those as fast as possible. It's a light family game. It's a lot of fun, and we had fun teaching it with a family. A little 12-year-old was there with her parents, and it was definitely fun to kind of teach that there. Let's see, what else did we play? We taught those people Sushi Go, and so Sushi Go obviously is, if you haven't heard of it, it's a very popular drafting game. It's 2 to 5 players, and in this case there was 3 of us, and so you're trying to score by having different sushi. And so basically every round you're basically selecting a card from a hand of cards, and you're playing one of those, and then once you play it, then you're basically passing the cards to the next player. So everyone's sort of passing the deck of cards around, 3 different decks for 3 different people, and you're trying to score different things. Like some of them depend on how many you get of certain things. Like the Tempura, for example, is worth nothing unless you get 2 of them. So times 2, if you get 2 of them, it's worth 5 points. If you don't get 2, it's worth nothing. Same for the sashimi is 3. You need 3 of those. It's hard to get, but if you get them, that set of 3 is worth 10 points. There's some that you get points just for laying them down, like the different types of nigiri. You have the squid nigiri, the salmon nigiri, the egg nigiri. They're worth 3, 2, and 1 points. There's a wasabi, which is kind of cool. You lay that down first, and then after that, any nigiri you put there is multiplied by 3. So if you lay that down, and then the next nigiri you get is the squid one, that's 9 points. That's a really good time there. Dumplings score differently depending on how many you have. If you have 5 of them, they're 15 points. If you have only 1 of them, they're only worth 1 point. And the maki rolls, you're going for a certain thing there. So it's a really quick, light game that a lot of people like. They really loved it. And so they're going to buy that one and Lanterns, actually. And this is a live Q&A, so if you have any questions, just go ahead and put them right there live in the comments, and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And so let's see what else we have here. We played, let's see, after Sushi Go. So last night, the last game that we played was America. This is a game, it's a trivia game from Bezier Games. And it's similar to, say, Fauna and Terra, where you'll be answering questions. So in this case, it's questions about George Washington, and you're going to know the year, you're going to need to know the state and the birth and death of George Washington, and how many teeth he had in 1789. And everyone's going around in a circular, clockwise motion, and they're trying to, put cubes on a board on the states or on the numbers or on the year, and they're trying to be either exactly right or they're trying to just be close, because if you're exactly right, you get 7 points. If you're almost right, then if you're close enough, if you're right next to it, then you'll get 3 points. And you're trying to figure out who knows what and trying to figure that out. It's really fun. And each turn, you get 2 different cards to choose from. And I thought that's a cool thing, too. So it was a lot of fun. We played with a big group. I love this game. It's one of my favorite party games that came out this year. Z and Sam, neither of them liked this one as much as Terra El Fauna, which are the 2 trivia games that this was sort of based off of. And so, well, I loved it, but they didn't like it as much. So that's, I guess, to each his own, I guess. So yeah, that's what's going on there. What else did we play? I just recently, just right before this, had a chance to play a game called Behind the Throne. And so this is a game where it's a push your luck game. So it's done by the same guys who did Mysterium. And so that's interesting enough that those guys did this, and there was not as much artwork here as some of the other games. Essentially, it's a press your luck game where you're essentially pulling cards from a deck, and you're trying to at least get a number higher than what you pulled before. If you do get a number that's higher, you bust. And so you're trying to get equal or lower. But every card that you take has a special ability, and you're using those special abilities to manipulate what that number is to make sure you don't bust. You can also either take all the cards, or you can sort of pass all those cards to your opponents, and then from that you can steal one of their cards. Each card has a special ability, and you only score points at the end of the game if you have more than one of those types of cards, and it's face value. It was a fun little game. It kind of reminded me a little bit of a game called Dead Man's Draw, which has also been reprinted as Captain Carcass. And so yeah, in Dead Man's Draw it was similar, where you're pressing your luck. And let's see here, yeah. So in Dead Man's Draw, you're pressing your luck, and as different cards come out, they all have different abilities. Like the map allows you to go through the discard pile and pick out 3 cards randomly. Sometimes you'll have to pull a card back from your own pile and activate its ability. Sometimes you'll steal a card from somebody else and activate its ability. Sometimes you'll get to see what the next card is. Sometimes you'll be destroying a card from an opponent. Sometimes you'll be trying to get the key and the lock together. And so this one's a lot of fun too. So if you like press your luck games, I would recommend Dead Man's Draw, also known as Captain's Carcass, and also this new one, Behind the Throne, which I really liked. So what else has been going on here? Well, we've been having fun. Of course, the times that we have the most fun at these conventions are the times just hanging out, talking. I mean, yeah, sure, we play a lot of games. We have fun playing a lot of games. But it's not one that's all we do. So even though pretty much you can come in from 9 in the morning till midnight and just sit around and play games and get games out of the library, that's fun. But we actually had so much fun just hanging out and talking and having lunch and dinner. Last night we went to a little dinner place that the locals had recommended. It was called Lone Star Cheeseburger, and essentially it's a food truck in what used to be a gas station. And we pull up like, what is this place? Okay, so you pull up, it's literally a food truck parked in a gas station, but you can tell it's kind of made to be there like most of the time. It's actually like its main home. They had it sort of done up. They had TVs in the patio, which was basically where the gas station, like where the gas pumps used to be. And they had some picnic tables set up. It was just a little low-key thing, and we were just having so much fun, just laughing about just messing on each other and making fun of each other, and just laughing to have a good time, to the point where some of us were literally crying. We were laughing so hard. And so most of the time at these conventions, that's what happens. You end up having so much fun, playing, laughing, just doing the mundane things together, because you don't get to see these people that often. Sam and Z, I love those guys, and I only get to see them like maybe two times a year at tops. And usually when I see them, it's usually at a very busy convention. Maybe we play one game, or maybe we have one meal, and there's a lot of people around, and it's chaotic and it's distracting, and you don't get a whole lot of quiet time. And that's one cool thing about this convention, which is it's small, There's a couple of hundred games in the library. Of course, you could bring your own. There's some games that they're giving away where every time you play one of the games that's in the library, you put a ticket in there and you could win one. But one of the cool things about this convention is that it is small. And you still have that intimate feeling, but you can still get together a lot of gamers. So I really like that about this. Well, we got a question here that I'll take. One of them is, hey, what tips regarding food and drinks while hosting a game night? Good question. Yeah, that's a tough one. Some people, it really depends on you. Some people are like super crazy about no drinks anywhere near, no food anywhere near. We eat in a separate room, we drink. I'm not that regimented. And then of course you have the other end of the spectrum where you're like, anything goes, and people they might not care if their games get ruined. I'm sort of kind of in the middle there. You know, if a game gets ruined, whatever, it gets ruined. It's probably already paid for itself in the amount of enjoyment and fun that we've had with people with it. I do two things typically. Usually we will have, so anytime somebody grabs a drink from my fridge, usually if it's a water, it's already got a cap on it. So whatever, if you're drinking from a bottle, just leave the cap on it when you're not drinking from it. If they're drinking like a soda or something that snaps open that you pour into something, we just ask that they put them in a couple. Basically, what I did was I went to, there's some cups out there that have like screw-on lids, and it's like the ones that have like the really hard plastic straws, and they're really popular. Like you can see them at Starbucks and other places. And when you go to like stores and you get these things, they're like $10-15 per cup. But if you go to the dollar store, I went to the one closest to my house, they typically have those. Sometimes they're solid colors, sometimes they're, the ones I have like those cool little mustaches or lipstick or stuff like that. Sometimes they have cool things on there. It's the hard 16-ounce cups with the screw-on lids with the hard straws. And I got those literally for $1 a piece. And so I bought about 20 of them, and we keep them there, and we use those. And they work out really well. And every once in a while, you got to replace them, maybe every 6 months or so, because they just get sort of worn out a little bit. Maybe they're not spill-proof anymore. But I buy those, and if I just say, hey, if you're going to be drinking something open, just put it in one of those cups, screw the lid on that way, because if they spill, they're literally spill-proof. It will not spill anywhere. And it happens all the time, even with those cups. And we always go, that's why you do that, right? And so that helps from the drink perspective, either having something that has a screw-on cap or a lid. And for the snacks, we tend to just try to have things that aren't like super, like not Cheetos, that gets like all in your hands. Pretzels is a good one because it's not sticky. It doesn't leave residue on your hands. So we try to think of like little snacks that don't cause a lot of residue. For food itself, a lot of times we just order in food. We order pizza a lot. And so for the pizza, since it's like a bigger thing and people are going to be eating, and usually what we do is we kind of reserve that time for in-between games. Or if someone has just started a game, usually we'll just stop and everybody will stop what they're doing. We try to time it so it's in between a game. We'll all go into the kitchen. We'll set up the pizzas, we'll have plates. And usually we just stand around and talk. And it kind of gives the game night a good change of pace where, sometimes, we're really there about the people. That's what gaming's really about. But sometimes you can get a little too focused in the games, and so sometimes it's a good break to get away and talk to the people and just connect with them and learn a little bit more about them and have fun, because that's really what I think is the best part about gaming is the relationships you build with them. So for the pizza and stuff like that that's messy, we actually do go into the kitchen or hang out in a different area and just finish that, wash your hands, and if it's messy like pizza, and then go back to playing. So I would say I'm super strict, but I'm not like super lenient either. I'm sort of in the middle there. The one time, so those cups that we got those. I'll tell you a story about the cups. A couple of years ago after Gen Con, I had one of the only copies of Freedom, the Underground Railroad. Like, I had one of their demo copies. There were only like 2 copies in America at the time. And I had one of them, and we brought it home. And one of my friends spilled a cup of water all over the board, all over the cards. The board was like amazingly resilient. I don't know if it was coated or what, but the cards got pretty mangled. Even to this day, the cards are pretty bad, but it doesn't matter because it's not one of those games where like you would need to sleeve it or anything like that. But from that point on, we started doing that. So like a couple weeks after that, we're having a game night, and I got those cups and we're using them, and it was like towards the end of the night. It was like the last little game, and I don't know why, but I had already put my cup away. I think maybe they were all used. And I poured a drink in a normal cup thinking, okay, I'll just be really careful. And wouldn't you know it, I was the one that pushed my cup over, spilled it all over the game. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why we have cups. This is why I did this. And I looked like the stupid idiot. Everyone was laughing at me. And that was kind of funny. So that's what we do. We use those cups and we use that, and it seems to work out well. And since then, we always sort of use those things there. And so, yeah, that's what we do for game night there. All right, let's see what other games we could talk about. If you have more questions, just go ahead and put them on there. Yeah, so we're talking about press your luck games. We talked about some drafting games. Another drafting game, we talked about Sushi Go a little bit. That was really cool that we played recently. Oceanos, if you haven't talked about this is essentially, it's done by Antoine Bauza, which is the same designer as Seven Wonders. And in this game, you essentially drafting to, there we go. You're drafting to build up your submarine and score points by placing animals. So essentially, there's different parts of your submarine, and some of them let you hold more animals, some of them let you look at more cards because your periscope's there, some of them let you play more than one card, some of you just score you some points. And so over the course of the game, you're drafting cards, and then there's one person who is sort of the captain, and everyone takes the cards that they're not taking. They take one card and they pass it to that player, and that player has to decide what to do. It's a very interesting drafting game, one that we've played recently here, and it's sort of been a lot of fun there. So another question I got is, let me just go back to the questions here. One of them is, what version of Ticket to Ride would you recommend? And for me, I really just like the standard Ticket to Ride. I think it's the easiest to teach. I think it's the most streamlined. If you're in North America, for sure, it's probably most likely for the majority of us, probably the one that's easy enough to understand the geography and know where everything is. I find that even with people that live in North America, if they're somewhat good with geography, even if you go to something like Europe, which is, at least the words are somewhat familiar and such, sometimes it just takes a while to learn it. So yeah, I really like the ease of play. It's the easiest to teach. It doesn't add any extra rules, and for me, it's the best one to start with. If you live in Europe, then maybe Europe might be the one to go with. But Europe does add some rules. It adds some ferries, so it's an additional rule. It adds stations, which is an additional rule. So again, if you're just getting in Europe, you might want to start with the USA one, just because the rules are easier. But it's not so complex if you live in Europe that you wouldn't be able to sort of get there. The other versions, after you've got the regular one, my favorite expansion is probably the Switzerland and India map, because the Switzerland one is like my favorite 2-player version. It plays only 2 or 3 players, and it really tightens up the map a lot. I mean, you can play the normal game with 2 players, but if you play that with 2 or 3 players, then it really makes it tight. And so I like that. So that's sort of my favorite collection. Let's see. I'm just looking over the questions here. So someone said, I bought a game from eBay and did not read the rule descriptions, and it arrived with some missing pieces. Is it possible? What do I do? Well, if it's missing pieces, and obviously the eBay is like a personal seller, they're probably not going to have the pieces. I found that if publishers are generally very good if they have it. I mean, even if it's a game that's a few years old, I found that publishers, they tend to keep parts on hand for many years until the game goes out of print. And so I found that, lots of times they will have it. And so if you just ask them nicely about, hey, I bought this game, it doesn't have all the pieces, I'm missing this. I've found that most publishers, assuming they still have some pieces around, it's still in print, will actually give those to you. And so that's always been my experience. They usually go out above and beyond about that. So yeah, if you're missing pieces, contact the publisher directly, either on their website or through Board Game Geek or on social media. And I think that would probably be the best way to go. Someone says, which are the top 5 or 10 suggestions for a board game convention? Like which are the best ones to go to? It depends on A, where you live, and B, what you like, and what are you going to the convention for. I'll speak mostly for North America, because there's so many here and that's where I live. If you want to just make it feel like it's a bunch of game groups sitting together playing games with people, my favorite for that is Board Game Geek Con. That's coming up in November. That's in Dallas. That's totally very relaxed. There's events that do go on, but mostly it's just people playing games. The library there is amazing. There's like thousands of games I think you could choose from, and they have all the hot Essen releases that had just come out. I really like that. That's my favorite for just hanging out. It sells out really quick, though. I mean, it sold out, I think, in 10 minutes this year. It's coming up in November. There's like a 500-person waiting list. I think they might be going to a bigger place next year, but next year, put on the calendar when that's going for sale, and if you like that type of game. If you want to have all the hottest, latest, and greatest hotness of games that are coming out, if you want to meet all the big-name designers from all over the world, if you want to be part of just everything around geek culture, then go to Gen Con. That is a sort of a buzz in the air. It's one of the only conventions that I say that you can actually feel the electricity in the air of the excitement from how big of a spectacle it is. So if you like the spectacle, 60,000 people, if you like that sort of thing, Gen Con's the one to go to for that. If you like odd and unique type of conventions, I would say the Rocky Mountain Gaming Vacation is my favorite for that. I went to that earlier this year. It's been put on by Icarus Tours, so ICARUS tours.com. They're doing it. It's next year. It's the week before Origins. It's in June, I believe, and it's really cool because you go out and do day trips in gorgeous Breckenridge, Colorado for the day. You're doing like we did some hiking. We did whitewater rafting with a group. We did a Jeep tour. They also have a fun park right at the top of the mountain where you can do alpine slides and little roller slides and rock climbing and panning for gold and mountain biking and all sorts of stuff. And you do all these cool things during the day, looking at the sites, going downtown. They have a really cool downtown, and then at night you're playing games with gamers. They had a library of about 400 games, really good selections. They had people that would teach you games. So if you're interested in that, then that would probably be what I would recommend there. Now, so let's talk a little bit about what's been going on my channel. So let me bring up my YouTube channel here, and we will go here. So we've had some people asking about, Dan, we love the gamer tested spouse approved videos. When are you going to come out with more of those? So it's a good question. So we're looking at my channel here, and so if you're not aware, there's a gamer tested spouse approved section of the YouTube channel. Also, by the way, the best way to find videos is actually from my website. I spend a lot of time keeping up with every piece of content that I upload to YouTube. It goes on my website. You'll see this just got uploaded today on YouTube, and it's already on the front page of my website. I keep this very active. It's very up to date. If you want to look at the spouse approved videos, you can go right here, and it'll bring up a table of all those. And so we have that there. It shows you the intro of what this Gamer Tested Spouse Approved is about, and it brings up all the videos. Same with, the Allegro reviews, if you want to look at just those. So I would highly recommend using the website, maybe not even YouTube if you're just looking for something specific. Also, if you on the homepage of my website, there is a table which is huge and has all 400 plus games or 600 plus games I've ever reviewed. You can sort by rating, publisher, designer, year. There's also a search feature on the website that you could search for a game and it will bring up all the stuff that's there. So I highly recommend using that. People always say, what's the easiest way to find the games that you've reviewed? This is really the best way. I spend a lot of time keeping this up to date, so go ahead and use that. So someone asked about the Gamer Tested Spouse Approved part of my channel. And essentially, this is where I take my wife Denise, and she's not really a gamer, but she has over 40 games that she likes to play. And so what we've done is I basically have gone over games with her and ones that she loves, and basically I give a 1-minute overview, and then I interview her about why she likes the game. And at the end, I always put in the bloopers because she is so funny. Just funny things happen. We always laugh while we're doing those videos, and I think those are really interesting that people like to watch. So we've been kind of doing that. And so there you have that. So we're also doing, let's see, what else have we been up to? Allegro. If you're not familiar with the Allegro reviews, these ones are 2-minute reviews. These are made to basically, I give a 1-minute overview, I give a 1-minute final thoughts, and I have, I think, over 50 of these now. I just started doing about 2 months ago, and they're really made and designed to allow you to look at a lot of different games and figure out which one you want to watch the full review for. So a game comes out, you see a review, and you go, I've heard about that one. This looks interesting. What's this about? You watch the Lego review. It takes 2 minutes, and then you know enough in that 2 minutes. Okay, let me watch the full review. And so that's been going on there. So that's pretty much what's been going on. Those are sort of the new things in the channel. What's been going on, and so I've been really excited about that. So let's see, we've been streaming for about 30 minutes here. I'm going to get back to the convention. Just wanted to have a quick shout out here with you guys, and thanks for joining. And we've got a lot of reviews that we're going to be shooting next week. I'll be shooting a video